there, my name's Gill Tiny. I'm from Collaboration Global, and this is our podcast, Being Human, Hidden Depths. I'm going to be interviewing some of our members from Collaboration Global, and they're going to be sharing with you their extraordinary lives. Although they would probably believe they're just normal, everyday, average humans, but they are extraordinary. A bit like you and me. We all have our story to tell. We've all been through difficult times, and we've come out the other end having learned an extraordinary amount about ourselves that we can share with others. So I think you'll find lots of things that will resonate with where you've been in your journey as well. I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Hello and welcome to Being Human, Hidden Depths. Again, the podcast that finds you amazing people that you may cross them in the high street and think they're nothing in particular, but actually when you sit down and have a jolly good listening to, as Chris Grimes would say, you find out they are extraordinary people. And this lady today is no exception. So Carmela, I haven't asked you yet, how do I pronounce your surname? Is it Ruggiero?
Ruggiero, yes.
Ruggiero,
yes,
okay.
Quite good. Yes.
Got there. It's nothing worse than when somebody keeps, especially with my name, everyone calls me Tinny, and I'm like, no, it's Tiny, and you get there in the end. But yeah, hopefully we got that right. Welcome to Collaboration Global. You've been around for a few weeks now. How's it feeling settling into your new community?
So far, I like the friendship. They all feel like already known people into the it feels very friendly, homely. Yes, so far I feel people are making the effort to speak to you, to get to know you. Yeah. So I like that.
That's the first time I've heard anybody say it's homely. That's made me feel very happy because we talk a lot about belonging as opposed to fitting in. We want people to feel like this is a good, comfortable space and they feel comfy in it. And just you saying it's being like home, that's a beautiful description. Thank you. That's very special. Carmela, you came to us via the wonderful Mark Walmsley. Quick shout out to Mr. Walmsley, who is part of who has the Arts and Culture Network. So when I first met you, probably back in the summer, so we've known each other just over 6 months now. When I first met you face to face, old school, at a networking event, I was introduced to you as an artist. And I thought, oh, what does she paint? Does she sculpt? What does she do? And that is just the tip of the iceberg of what you are about and who you are. So could you give us the official, what you do for a living? And then we'll explore a bit more into how that impacts who you are as a person. What do you do? What's your day job?
My day job, I used to have a day job. I'm self-employed now, so full-time artists, and in particular, spiritual artists. Meaning, I do make the invisible visible on paper. Simple as that. It's nothing complicated. I feel energy. It could be emotions, it can be feelings, it can be any sort of day feeling, and you get that sort of hint. And it's almost like when you need food, for me. You wake up in the morning, you have your breakfast, and I thought, oh, I really want to draw, I really want to write, journaling. So it is that feeling of saying, oh, I'm so happy, I need to do something positive. And for me, that's what art, is the inspiration I get with the journaling, with the drawing, with listening to people afterwards, with the episode of all sort of daily life, and that's what I sort of get drawn to into my art.
So if you were told you're not allowed to paint or do any art for the next 4 weeks, how would that make you feel?
Really sad, because it's almost like food for me. It's like getting a pen and writing I write a lot, and I've done 2 books as well. I collaborated with 2 books. I love writing, and it's not like, oh, I'm obsessed, I need to do every day like a chore. No, that's not like that. It's just an inspiration. Oh, wow, I had this feeling, or I heard something, and I'm in a situation where, I feel inspired, and I get the pen, and it's equally the same with my drawing. So I'm listening to a podcast, and then, oh wow, I need to draw this. When I'm listening, I draw. It's like feeling a doodle. You want to doodle there, you get a pen, a pencil, the ink, the pastels, and your hands start moving. And then by the end of the podcast, or by the end, whatever you're listening to or you are into, something appears on paper, isn't it? And then I admire it, and then being spiritual means I connect with the drawing, with the artwork, and then I sort of feel what it transmits to me. So it could be an emotion, it could be a description of something, or it, it's hard to explain. Most of the time, it's very energetic, very subconscious.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So
it is something
what?
else. It's not like just planning, looking at something and painting it. It's
No, I was
completely
just going to say I love those programs on TV, where you watch people do it from blank page and then they create the landscape that they're looking at or the person that's
yeah.
standing over there. And I always wonder, do you see what you're painting in your mind's eye? Or is
No,
it
most of the
just
time, no, no.
okay?
It's more of a meditative state,
Right.
meaning if you sit quietly, I could be listening to music, and my favorite is like violin, piano,
Yeah.
or but what I found, or relaxing music, but what I found in the unknown. So I search for artists or musicians, and they're not known, the lyrics of something that I don't know,
Right.
because um, I don't want to be affected by the Bach or the violin. They already know the tune. And
Yeah.
that's what I noticed, that within my art, even if I'm on a group, for example, meditation group or spiritual group online, there is usually energy within the group. And the drawing I do during those meetings, for example, they're very much different from the drawing that I do when I sit by myself in meditation or in a thinking mode or in a reflection mode.
Mm.
And that was what's all about for me, to connect with myself and to be able to feel the energy that I want to draw, or the things and I want to express. That's it. The inside, to put it on paper,
Yeah.
then quite often is music. Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
sound, music, a
That's
bell, or a scenery. You can even look at the sceneries. There's lots of videos on YouTube which they've got relaxing music,
yeah.
but sometimes it's a particular track which I don't know anything about it. There is no words, it's just lyrics,
Hmm.
just instrumental that I might connect with and I express myself with. Yeah, it's quite a good combination. Yeah.
So, how do you know? I've asked this to many different artists, and they all say different things. So I'm just curious about your answers. How do you know when a picture is finished?
Quite often, it can be, to me, it could be, okay, let's say if I scribble something,
Mm,
because it starts as a scribble, and that what it started many years ago. It felt like it's a scribble. And then you leave it as it is, isn't it? You don't even think, oh, okay, it's something, it's a line, it's a stroke, or it's a
mm,
scribble
yeah.
with different colors. And there might be a spiral, there might be a little dot, there might be a triangle, there might be a symbol
Mm,
within that on that paper. But I wouldn't say most of the time, but some of my artwork, then I go back to it. There's big temptation of saying, oh my God, I need to add another color. I need to add that layer. So ideally, it has transformed. There is things and they appear to me on paper. Then I call it, I mean, I've got a collection. It's called One Line Collection. It's literally one line in less than a minute. It
wow.
appears. So it can be, I mean, when you're going to see my art, I've got my exhibition going on. There is a lot of one line, small, tiny A5s or A6, very tiny.
Mm,
To me, they were scribbles, but when I showed it to people online, or what have you been doing, this, oh my God, they thought it was amazing to me was just a scribble, something naturally. I
Yeah.
got a red pen, ink pen, and did it all blue, like very much monochrome.
So you don't suffer.
Yeah, yeah,
So you don't suffer from this feeling of I need to make it better. You know when it's done.
not at all. No,
Yeah.
progressive. My very early artwork in 2021 was
Mm.
very tiny. Um, it could have looked like a flower, like a tree, like a natural thing, because then I linked all those lines made it the nature was part of the nature. Then I started linking. Then my drawing was really connected with Mother Nature.
Right.
I was attracted by it, and therefore there was a hint within my drawing of that. So from one line, then I became coloring in bits and pieces, but it wasn't like, oh, I have to color in it. Oh, no, it's very rare because I have a disability. I've got in my wrist. So my fear was I'm never going to color it in at all. So I didn't worry about that. The only thing I was worried to express myself. And if I was unsettled, like I couldn't stop, I couldn't stay still, I couldn't meditate, I couldn't do some task, I would just sit down, get my sketchbook, and pick up a color and would do. And that would release that anxiety,
Mm.
that worry that I had. So I started like that during lockdown. Really, it was a way of coping with my anxiety, my worry. So to me, it was nothing than artwork. No way, it wasn't. Although when I tried to do some art, when I uh, got redundancy from my work and I had my break, I didn't enjoy it. And I always wanted to be an artist. The reason why I didn't enjoy
Wow.
it, I did so many art classes.
Yeah.
It was like copying photographs, copying
Telling you what you
pictures.
should be doing, she said with
Yeah.
inverted commas, rather than actually experiencing and expressing what you needed to experience and
There
express.
was nothing that attracted me, nothing at all. In fact, I was left with the need of saying it wasn't what I thought it was. I always wanted to be an artist. And now I've got a year gap. I didn't know what to do. I thought I want to have a break and learn and see if I can fulfill my dream, my
Yeah.
desire as a child to be an artist.
Wow.
Yet I was dissatisfied by the classes, the money I paid, the courses, the night classes. Yes, I possibly learned the technique,
Mm.
but what I was going to do with the technique if I wasn't inspired to create artwork? And
Mm.
that was the old, it's like that was the tip of the iceberg, made me think, no, it's not what I want to do. So sort of dissolved and saying, so no, I don't want to be an artist anymore. I quit. So I quit. After spending all this money, I quit. And I found mosaic art during this period. I found mosaic art. So that was, again, a craft, an artisan craft. And
Mm.
I found to start being curious about it, the cutting, to learning about it, the history. And coming from Italy, obviously, my town, there is a palace. And I have seen that kind of art into the palace, into the churches in Italy. They all got lots of music. I suppose I sort of wanted to replicate something, but I, I didn't know if I could replicate things. But on the other hand, I wasn't happy to replicate things. You get into that stage that you said, I'm learning, so I need to replicate because they want to see how good you are, the technique. And that was similar. That was very similar. But then my
Mm.
hands, they were really giving me trouble. So I had to sort of settle because I couldn't cut pieces anymore.
Oh,
There was lots of handwork,
yeah.
and I started struggling. Although I absolutely love, and the length of time of creating pieces was very long,
Mm.
but I loved it. But then there was lockdown, so lockdown opened the opportunity to me to start doodling again during Zoom calls.
Yes.
No one knew I was doodling. That what I thought it was anyway. No one knew I was scribbling on a piece of paper on a sketchbook. I found some color my daughter's draws and I started drawing them, and I started using normal pen. The very first, which eventually I'm going to put in my book, the very first doodle that I did, it was in a green pen. Those big pens
Yeah, yeah.
with the top, the very skinny ones. I was just listening to a Zoom call or a networking. I can't even remember.
Mm.
And I just started doodling it. And then at the end, I thought, oh my God, what's that? I was shocked to myself. Then this intricate sort of work came out into life, on the corner of the notepad. That's this big
Do you
like
know what?
frame.
This reminds me that there are so many people that I interview that have childhood um, activities or actions that you can look back and you go, oh, that's why you're doing what you do now. And
Yeah.
but they've kind of gone from a very early age and they've always wanted it's a natural progression for them into their business. So they've set up a business and then they've done it this way, then they've done it that way. And it's the practical, do this, do this, do this, you get this. Where you're kind of the complete opposite from the point of view of you don't know what you're creating. You haven't set out to go, well, I'm going to be a portrait painter, I'm going to be a landscape
No
painter.
way.
I'm going to, you've just, hang on, I've just fallen over this and it's turned into art and it's lovely. And it's just what I've always wanted to do. Now you had the impression when you were a child, you said you wanted to be an artist. When you were a child, what did that mean for you? Because were you good at drawing? Did you just
Yes.
enjoy the painting and did other people tell you that you were good and you thought, right, one day I'll be an artist? Is that how it went? And then you kind of life got in the way, as it does with a lot of things. How did it work out
First,
for you from how old were you when you first went, I'm okay at this thing called art?
secondary school, 7, 8.
Yeah.
I was told that my drawing were too good to be true to be mine. So where did I copy them? And why was I? Yeah, it was so devastating. It was devastating. I had a black and white ink drawing, which was displayed in the entire school. I won a prize, and yet I don't know where it is. It was a church, actually. It was a building, the facade of a church, and that was something quite amazing. But I was always doubted. Oh, have you been helped to done this? And when I would say it was me, they did not. Those times, I suppose it was time ago. So I was a bit given the thought and the belief that I wasn't good enough because I was copying it and am I true a real artist? Do they like it? They don't like it. But there was a bit of a judgmental thing as a
Mm,
child.
mm,
Therefore, I just didn't carry on in the art school because my father thought that art does not make a living. Being an artist and not making a living, and that was another, mindset which I had to deal with when I then after my career, long career of investment banking, administration and finance, and then I become an artist. I thought, oh my God, you would have been flipping out to say, what have you done?
that is, I mean, you say the word
But
artist, you hear penniless before it, don't you? Penniless artist. And to go
yes,
from that world of money and transactions to the world of creation is such a juxtaposition. So if you hadn't been given redundancy or that opportunity to jump ship, do you think it would have happened in the way it has?
no, but saying that, it was funny because I was going through probably the fifth job path into the corporation.
Right.
So it was, and I had been there 19 years, so it was a long time.
Mm.
And I absolutely hated it.
Oh,
Absolutely hated it. In
yeah.
the end, you move, you get a new team, new managers, new of everything.
Mhm.
And that's it. Then you get disheartened because they don't treat you as a person anymore. You are just a number. And
Mm.
if they cut the posts off, what do? They give you more work and the money is probably less. So I was very disheartened. And when I had to apply for the jobs, I had to reapply for my jobs at the lower level with less money. Typical, isn't it, of those times?
Wow.
And what did I do? I did get full points and all that. And then, do you know what? There is something in you that says, what am I doing? I
Mm.
don't even like it. I hate the people I work with.
Yeah.
I hate the people, um, I never enjoyed it. I was
Yeah.
just paying the bills and the kids,
So
paying
heart.
the school, the activities.
Yeah.
And I thought, is it that now? So I had a breakthrough, resigned out of it. So I was still in a gap that I could get redundancy.
Mm.
And it wasn't strategic, it was just impulsive. Do you know when you wake up one day and you just write your letter and that's what I did
Yeah,
out of the blue.
yeah,
And you know what? I never looked back.
good.
Never.
I know that
Never.
feeling. I know being in that place where it's like, I remember being worked for the Greater London Council and then were taken over by London Borough Tower Hamlets. And for a year, they didn't give me a contract. And I hated every minute of it, as you say. And in the end, I'm like, why am I waiting for a contract? I can just go. I'm just going to go. And I did. And it was like, oh, best decision I ever made. It was horrendous journey to get to work, horrendous journey to get home, horrendous while I was there. It just was really thankless. And I think it's that once you're in that space where nobody appreciates you, nobody sees you, nobody cares, and the job you're trying to do your best at because you care for the people that you're working for as opposed to the people that are ahead of you, you know, council tenants and going and seeing them and seeing the awful place they had to live, and then saying you'll do your best and then going back to the office and people just don't care of, you know, what help is required and what they should be doing in their job. It's soul destroying. So I totally get where you're coming from when you make that, I've had enough, I'm off, bye. And you're ready for the next
Also,
adventure.
in those times, and we're only talking about a few years back, before lockdown, obviously,
Mm.
in those times, to have a day working from home, because I was on 22 tablets and one injection a day with my disability, you know, with my condition, to have a day working from home because I couldn't drive because I was heavily medicated.
Mm.
It was a struggle. I had to get the union in to step in for me to have a day working from home.
Wow.
And some people are really bad. And now look at that. Do you know what? I just found out the office is shut down. They all work from home. And yet I didn't have that with three disabilities.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, that's crazy.
But so that was a big step up. And all the people, I've met few of them afterwards, and they will look aged, so
Yes.
much aged compared to me.
Well, you can
Love it.
imagine,
I
can't
love
you, that
it.
their mental health must be shot
Yeah.
to pieces when you're constantly in that pressure cooker of a horrible space if you're not enjoying it. Um, Most people talk about nowadays, since COVID, mental health and how to look after it. What you're describing to me about letting your art emerge is probably the closest thing we can imagine. And it's different for everybody, but it's the closest thing we can imagine to kind of medicating yourself when you're feeling stressed or anxious or low or just uncertain about things, to be able to create something from your soul. It must be a beautiful experience to help your mental health, because although we talk about mental health up here, mostly it's mental health that's in the heart, isn't it, that's kind of affecting you in some way or another because of emotions and all the things that go on. So would you recommend somebody to consider art as a therapy to help their mental health?
There is benefits, big benefits, by expressing yourself with paper and that. And also because it's your own thing, isn't it? No one's going to judge you. Whatever you want to release, you put it on paper and then you close the book. So
Mm.
you don't have a judging person. It's not like I'm not condemning or I'm not judging the art therapy, you know, this or the specialism in
Yeah.
that. That's not, I don't intend to do that. But what I'm saying, in a difficult time and you need somebody and you don't have that somebody to speak to, like me, I had no family over here. I had only my kids. And the kids, it's like almost like kids, isn't it? You're supposed to be strong. You're a mum. You're supposed to be
Mm.
strong for your kids. So you sort of go back into your shell and trying to think, I have to be strong for them. So there is the hiding thing and the pride of a mum. You know, you can't show weakness. That was me. I always been a single parent. It's always been like that.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, at the beginning, when I started drawing out of anxiety, worry, and that was during lockdown, which was the most crucial because my business had stopped. You see, I was musician. I had to close down, lots of booking, cancellation. So the stress was enormous.
Mm.
And there was, you know, we were all at home. So we were all, you know, I had two kids at home and it was difficult for me to sort of associate. The only thing that kept me going, walking every day. And luckily it was springtime.
Mm.
UK is beautiful springtime, you know, the flowers. I think connecting with the nature was the best I could do.
Yeah.
Doing my daily walks at a time. But then I had my moment where I start meditating again, isn't it? That's when my spiritual awakening appeared, came about.
Mm.
I started meditating, which I always did on and off. Yeah, not regular, on and off. I always meditated. I was into meditation, into yoga. I always practiced yoga for years. But so the actual fact that everything was shut, the doodle, the coloring, the sketchbooks, the art and the journaling became my other, I just say, my other way of expressing myself. So I had no yoga. I didn't like doing yoga online. I tried Pilates and all the name it. I couldn't bear. I suppose that was the only thing to express myself. It was another way of exercising my mind, isn't it?
Yeah.
Exercising my mind and exercising my emotions. Yeah, let's say I exercise my emotions. So I put down on paper whatever I thought, whatever I felt.
It's a way of letting it out, isn't it? It's like opening that
Yes,
door to do something. And that might be dance, and that might be listening to
yes,
music or
yes.
movement to music, whatever it is. So everyone has to find their own
Yeah.
way, but there is a way that's not just about sitting on a psychiatrist's couch and saying, I'm feeling anxious.
No,
There are a million things you can do before you get to that stage. I'm not saying that's not a good stage to go to. If you need that, then you need that. But it's not necessarily first port of call if you can try other things. Now, I would never have considered art as a way of releasing my inner tension. But I recently, about 6 months ago, went to an evening session, which was a sip and paint that they do these days, not knowing whether I'm sort of the nervous disposition. It's like, oh, I can't paint anything. And they said, well, you're going to do this sunflower. And I'm like, oh no, I don't know. Oh, yeah. Okay, well, I'll just follow you. And I follow the lady that was giving instructions. And there were about 20 ladies sitting there doing exactly the same thing that she said on that board. And yet
yes.
we all came out with totally different pictures that were all absolutely gorgeous that we could all be proud of. And I was like, wow, that's art. That to me was like, we could see it all in a different way. And we all looked at each other and went, oh, that's amazing. I love your one. That's a beautiful. And we were expressing ourselves and coming together as a group of strangers to just revel in how beautiful we can do things. We can create beautiful things. And it just was a
Yeah.
lovely moment to sit back and go, well, for somebody who can't paint, we did really well. And it was like, we were so proud of our little masterpieces. But you take it in another step further, don't you? In that you talk about spiritualism with your art. And obviously you start with a doodle and it's how you're feeling and where it goes from, but you've kind of worked out, and I'd love to know the journey from when you first realized that art was connecting you to the other dimension. How did you kind of work out that's what was happening? Can you tell us the story?
Because I could see things in a different way. It's almost like my eyes had a magnifying glass. So by going out and walks in the nature, I could see the flowers, I could smell. It's almost like my senses were magnified.
Yeah.
I could see things in a different way. And then as I was quite often going with my daughter on a walk, I would say, oh, can you see that? Can you see the petals? Can you see the fly? Can you see? Do you know, I could actually zoom in into the flowers, into anything around me.
Mm-hmm.
And she was saying, oh, no, I can't see that. Kids, but then I realized, oh my gosh, I'm different. I start noticing and feeling the difference of the energy around me. I start seeing things in a different way. I start seeing energy floating around me. So then I start asking questions. When I started meditation, so it became deeper. And then I studied at the Psychic College in London to find out what was happening to me energetic way because I
Mm.
didn't know. I thought, oh, I'm going crazy here because
No.
whatever I feel, then it comes onto paper into a beautiful thing. And I couldn't understand that. But then it's sort of like within the meditation, within the journaling, I sort of put these things together and I thought, yes, that's all inspirational. Is I used to get philosophy, I used to get drawings, and as I told you, it's just capturing the essence of a talk, the essence of a meeting, or in different ways. It's something completely amazing. And then look back and say, oh, wow, it looks like mm, the colors and the significance. So I started studying that part of it. I did lots of other courses, but this time there was spiritual art to have the feel what was it like.
Mm.
And then when the lockdown finished, I went into the circles, art circles, into, you know, some churches, some places, associations, well-known associations. And I started doing art circles,
Okay.
learning about the art. How can you connect with your art? How can you connect, with the other side? And then it was more like the normal spiritual artists. They do portraiture, a lot of portrait. And I always had this thing about portrait. I said, no, I don't like doing portrait. I don't know. I don't, maybe because of school, the school time.
Mm.
No, I don't know how to do portrait. Maybe, there is no way I can express myself in portrait. So I didn't find that attractive.
Right.
And to be honest, I know I'm not disregarding again any of the spiritual portraiture,
Mm.
spiritual artists. They do the soul, the soulmate. I don't know if you saw online, there's plenty of that. They see
Yeah.
the dead people, they draw the deceased people. And
Wow.
I then realized I don't want to be drawing dead people. That's not me. I know it sounds horrible, but there's lots of people,
No.
and they do demonstration, they've got community, they've got spiritual artist, which quite often it means a scenery or a message for the people in the audience. Quite often they're deceased. So they
Yeah.
might be looking like, so they figures, then they appear on paper. And to be honest, I do that, I did that, I learned about it, but I went more wider because I wanted to know more. So I
Mm.
went into experiment, and now I'm experimenting big time. So
Ah.
I experiment on brown paper, black paper. So I do all sorts of dimensions and work. Some of my work is just can't express how many hours it takes because there's layers on the top of layers. It's like being in a trance.
Mm.
You go into a different level of understanding. And then you wake up and, oh my gosh, yes, you look at it and it's like a portal or something completely different from what I usually done in 2021, you see,
Yeah.
completely
But,
different, but yet has got the same sort of final scope, isn't it? It's still energy, it's
but do
still meaning.
you, when you've done this picture and you kind of come back and you go, wow, that I love it, that's brilliant. Is there kind of a message that goes with it, or is it
Yes,
right?
yes,
And
yes.
that's
Quite often, yes, yes.
and is that for
And
you to interpret for a specific person, or is that just something that's for you, for your benefit?
group, because I still run classes online. I still part of different communities. So we do that work for each other. So
Right.
yes, there will be messages for the group. If I'm by myself, it's more related to um, the world situation.
Mm.
It could be energies I pick up from the world, from different people, communities. It could be anything that um, spiritual will want me to put it down that is meaningful for example, the exhibition I'm doing is a healing art exhibition for people to heal and understand what's going on.
Mm.
One of the pieces is magnificent. I mean, my collaborator, she was blown away by the size. I made it A2. I did not expect to be that big. But when you see it, it's like a portal,
Yeah.
nothing else than a portal. And yet it's called a moment of peace.
Oh.
And it's so, how do you say, it's so obvious that we need peace nowadays. So this is the message I get. So it's not really for me, it's for everybody to understand when you look at it and then you feel peaceful. And then don't we all need that energy? I
Oh.
was told many times that my art is very healing, but
Yeah.
lots of people they just connect with it, with the energy, the colors, and therefore they sort of synchronize with it. It's almost like it's an exchange, which they probably don't even know is happening. Do you see what I mean? It's like mesmerizing.
I was going to
Yeah.
say, have you had much feedback from the exhibition that you've currently got over at Greenwich Library in London? Have you had much
Yes,
feedback from people to say how they've interpreted the art or how they felt while they were there?
supposedly I've done it. That's my third year, so
Right.
it's not the first time. In the past, not lately, because it's been Christmas time, so I'm expecting people to come to the venue and get some, thoughts for me and ask questions. Yes, they always question, how do I come about? They're always very curious to find out, how did I create that piece? And when I explain to them, then it makes sense. And this is why I will soon do the YouTube channel, because it makes sense when I explain. It might just looks, some of my pieces, they might just look like abstract, but they're not. They make sense when I put the points down and I explain what it is, and there is a title to it, there is an emotion to it.
Yeah.
So it makes more sense to them. And they always get, oh my God, yes, I can see that. They can see things after you express to them. So that's the plan, that I will be doing a catalogue with some of the pieces, all the experimentation, the very first ones, the middle, and now. Wow. So they can see the different options, people. Yeah, and that's interesting. I love doing Meet the Artist, regularly, because I always get loads of questions, and I love answering their question, because you don't expect people to know why that piece came like that.
Why it resonates. I mean, my husband and I, when we bought 2 of our paintings, we both sat in the gallery with 2 pictures in front of us, and he was like, I really like that one. I was like, I really like that one. So it's like, what do you do? We got both of them. And it's like, but we still, and everyone's got very strong opinions of which one resonates with them. And it's like a guessing game, really. It's like, which one do you think I like? And which one do you think Alan likes? And people don't always get it necessarily, but it was just, it does get you here, doesn't it? It's not a logical decision like, oh, that's the right colors for the living room. That would look very nice there. It's not gut wrenching, a guttural emotion that you feel with, like, I love that. Oh, it's amazing. I want to stare at that for the rest of my life. And you want to take it home with you. I don't know if you've come across Farah Syed, also in the Arts and Culture Network. She talks about art that she creates, massive canvases that you can feel the energy coming from them because of how it's done, and that you can put them in any which way round. And she does workshops with blind people who have no idea what colours there are, and they're vibrant colours. But by the time she's done the workshop, they can all tell what colours are in the paintings by feeling them and feeling the resonance of those colours. It's quite fascinating that just the painting, just the painting, she said blithely, can have such a powerful impact on people when they can't even see it. It just blows my mind. And I think as well, what you're doing is like the next dimension in, where you're being gifted a painting to share with the rest of the world. And it's how we are taught or shown how to interpret that painting. Do you do sculptures as well? I know you say you do the mosaics, but do you do sculptures as well?
No, but I'm in a plan of going back to mosaic slowly, because obviously I really want to carry on, but I will be doing it with other material, possibly. Material less hard, to cut and all that. So I have to find a way around it. For this year, it would be mainly art and exhibitions, but I'm planning to. Yeah, it's my passion.
Maybe
my
collage.
Passion to create. Yeah. So
tell us as well about ongoing from the art is you've got a deck of cards that you've created yourself as well, haven't you?
I wouldn't say I created, but I downloaded them. I channeled them. So yes,
not downloaded as in from a computer, but downloaded from
And I'm one of the artists who in Medium, obviously, then done both work together. The channeling and the drawing.
Right.
Yes, it was in a difficult time of my life, because I sat down in prayers, because my hands were really bad, and I feared to lose my ability to draw. So that was 2 years ago. I sat in prayers, and I just prayed to get healed, really, as a medium. I understand we've got a team of healers, and I knew I had some artists in the spirit world which were trying to help me, but I was very disheartened because I was in pain and they didn't know what it was. Then they gave me the bad news. There was permanent damage in the wrists, so there was nothing they could do except put a blade in, which would stop the wrist mobility, so I would have been worse off. So I decided, and they told me I was too young to have that kind of operation.
Right.
Therefore, I had to cope with it. So I do use different tools, for my hands, as splint and, special gloves, and they've got all metallic holding, so to rest them. So I do use that obviously in my video, when I do the video, which we're going to see all on YouTube this year. There is some of it has got that on, so I will explain why I use it. But because I can only do so much, I can only use my hands so much. So then I get pain started, and then I can't do anything else. I need to rest. So it's been a bit of a complex issue, but yeah. So it all started during those difficult times for me. I was really, really low, and I thought I was over. And then when I heard the voice say, no, 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 you're going to carry on. Don't worry, we'll help you. And I thought, oh my gosh, okay. So I'm going to sit in meditation. I sat in prayer. I was a good Catholic and still am. And so I sat in prayer. It was simple prayer, simple meditation. And I start, things start coming through. And then my hands start moving on paper. So I was asked to use soft pastels, and I blend them with fingertips. So I didn't use no brush and that because I couldn't hold any of it.
Yeah.
So it was really the soft pastel, the dust of the pastels on paper, and
Yeah.
I started blending it with fingertips.
Wow.
And then the energy came through, and I didn't even know what I was doing then, because to me it was just a prayer. I was meditating. I thought I was doing 5, 10 minutes, and then 2 hours later, I get I get paper on a sketchbook. I get a drawing,
Yeah.
something magnificent, very different layers. Very complex, but different layers. And then I get, I've asked permission to write description and all that, what it means, what is it, why I'm doing this kind of drawing now, why they help me. And they told me I was ready to start drawing again, and I had to take, to trust myself that I was a good artist. And they will use me for, to heal people. So those cards are like healing tools, and they're all full of healing energy. So at first I was supposed to do 44, so for 44 days of meditation.
Wow.
And then they told me there was 6 bonus. So I've got 51 days meditation. And prior to that, I sat in meditation for healing.
Right.
So there was another 20 days for healing. A month later, I start getting all this drawing. And then I've asked permission to write it down, to communicate with those immense, beautiful beings, and they came to heal me. Yeah. So
So
it was very, very loving. Yeah, very loving energy. Yeah.
in your mind, who are they?
Yeah, well, they came about when I asked them who they were. They told me they were the elders. So then I didn't know. I didn't have a clue what it was. I tried to investigate. I was quite scared actually,
Yeah.
because yeah, not scared in a sense, fearful to ask people. I thought maybe they're going to think I'm a nutter. Even in my community, you don't know, do you?
Mm.
But all of a sudden, then I asked the two people which I could trust within my spiritual community that were my tutors, which I worked with, and they gave me different things. But when you Google, there is nothing about it. You don't know what it is. And then eventually, it was revealed to me that the reason why they came through me is because I didn't know about them. So it's pure from source, the energy and the scriptures and
Mm.
the lecturing they gave me, all the personal messages. There's lots of materials I've got, which I'm going to write a book about it. They told me when I'm ready, I will be doing that, because I've got lots of lecturing and workshops which I can do, they teach me lots of meditations. And I've asked permission to write it all down, and they told me I was ready. So to do the cards first, and then we can start doing all of that. Yeah.
It
As an
sounds
academy, so people can learn about it. Yeah.
it sounds very along the lines of not necessarily the same as, but along the lines of Abraham Hicks with Esther Hicks.
Yes, but when you have 12 being in your living room healing you, then you get a bit freaked out. And
Mm.
that you ask questions and you don't know who they are, and you think you're going nuts. So that was something very, very crucial for me to find out, oh my God, is it true? I'm losing my. And then that was at the beginning when I was ill.
Mm.
When I was, when I was sitting for prayer, that was prior to the cards. I didn't have a clue about the cards. They come in with all that information, and with this deck, which is a tool for people to learn about spirituality. Because I was thinking, I never had the tool to learn. I had to go and pay money, do courses. And then who do you trust? Who's the best teacher for you?
Mm.
And that was a very, and I've been researching and researching, So, okay, I trained at the Psychic College in London. And then I found the association of, SNU. I'm still a member. So I'm a practitioner because it's me. But there's lots of charlatan, I could have been going around saying, oh, look, I can tell you that. It took me
Yeah.
2 years to print them. 2 years. I had to go through a
Mm.
journey of editing them, understanding what was all about. There was another journey. That could be a book, just the journey of the 2 years to have them printed. It wasn't easy. It was money, self-publishing them. There's
Mm.
been a big journey, which, I'd like to put in a book so people know what I went through. It hasn't been easy to publish them.
Mm.
Although it hasn't been easy to receive them because I was exhausted. 2.5 hours later, I was exhausted. I had no energy left.
Yeah.
And the weekend, I was there. It was like a food, an addiction. I had to sit down in meditation because I had a job to do. I had to connect with those people. They were relying on me to give stuff to the world. And it becomes your mission. But who do you speak to? They're going to think, no, what she's talking about.
Mm.
And when you're not known, people are going to think, oh, you might be talking rubbish, isn't it? But my experience, I don't care. I had the experience, and that was mind blowing and life changing as well. Because it's not every day you get beings of light talking to you, healing you, and telling you, we're here for you. Don't worry, everything's going to be okay.
So
Yeah.
these beams of light, was there, and obviously, as you say, you were exhausted by going through that process to download the things that you now know. Um, was there any time when you thought it was not a loving source, where it might have been?
No, no,
No.
no. It was always something I didn't want to come out of.
Oh.
It was something very special. The healing was powerful. I mean, having 12 beings with the hand like that, pumping light to you and
Mm.
healing you, in a semicircle, that was an experience. And I wrote so much material down. I don't even know. I haven't got back to it because it's so like very complex.
Yeah.
I only wrote down and understood the whole meaning of it after they start giving me the card. I start blending, all the pastels every day and writing about it. And then I understood the purpose, why they told me they were elders and I didn't need to know anything. I didn't question. I just Googled them and there was nothing about it. It took me months before I even asked people, do you know who the elders are? And they said, the elders, no one knew. And then I thought, okay. So they told me the name, the 12, because there were 12 of them. So that's why my deck is called the 12
Right.
because it's not my deck, it's their deck. So the 12. And I explained a little bit about the introduction into the booklet about them and how they came to me. So I was healed and then a process started. So it was in a region of 4 to 5 months. It wasn't a sudden thing. It was 4 to 5 months. And then I had to rest. They told me, just rest, don't worry, we're all going to help you to put it into the world. So, and then it took me 2 years to get into the world. So it's not like I woke up one morning, drew some cards, and that's it. I'm gonna sell them. The people, it was something else. It was something else, very profound. You know,
What do you see their purpose is now going forward?
people are to connect with themselves, and that was all about. Because when I went to America last year, it was I was contacted. I went to a spiritual educational conference in New York at the Columbia University, and I've run a workshop on how to reconnect them, how to reconnect with yourself. And that was mind blowing. The people that turned up into the room while I was doing the workshop, they didn't even know what they were going to get. I mean, yeah, they knew roughly. I had only a little paragraph to tell them. How can you explain? Not even one of them left the room without a question. They all had a question and they all thought, oh my God, I never experienced something like that. And the only thing I said, I've asked my team in Spirit, I said, watch them, whatever they need. They did the trick. I just took them into meditation. I've asked them exactly what I teach, how to express yourself in writing, which is journaling, or in drawing. And I gave them a pencil, color pencil, the choice of pick up my color before we started the process. And they only had 5 minutes music background, and I took them into a meditation, and they all expressed themselves, and they all thought, oh my God, it was beautiful. Because when we connect with our own soul, isn't that an experience? It's only loving, isn't it? There's nothing. And we can ask them questions. We don't need to look outside for questions. When people say to me, oh my God, your reading is so good. No, Guru, I'm not reading. It's what I've been told that you need today to heal. And also, I thought, it's not my purpose. I don't want to be a reader. I don't want to be doing a tarot reader or oracle reader. No, I want to tell the world that they can do it. They're not different from me. My gift is my gift. They've got other gifts, which they can practice and use for their own benefit. That's my mission, to teach people how to make that gift alive in them, how to tap into their gift. Yeah.
I think that the world we live in today is kind of slowly morphing and transforming and changing. Although I always think of the word change as you change, but then you can change back again. And I think what is now happening is this transformation where we are evolving into something completely different, where more and more people are being connected to their inner selves. They're focusing more on the individual. We talk a lot about, if you don't love yourself, how can you love other people? And we all need to connect. And as we do at Collaboration Global, we talk a lot about love as our foundation. And if you have love as a foundation of your business, you can grow your business more effectively to help more and more people. But you can't start that process unless you know who you are, what you're about, why you're here on this planet, what you are meant to be doing here on this planet. And we learn about all the different ways that we can connect more deeply to ourselves. And we talk a lot about our intuition and the way that our brain and our heart are connected, and the way our stomach and our heart and our brain are connected. And by accessing meditation or prayer or just connecting to source energy, whatever you consider that to be, is becoming more and more the norm. If you talked about it 20 years ago, they'd have been like, okay, yeah, really? A little bit la-la. Yeah. But now, not so much. And I just find more and more people are fascinated, but also already doing something along these lines. And they're dabbling here and they're dabbling there. I mean, you've just described a magnificent journey of learning and understanding and training and spending a fortune on going to, colleges and universities and finding out for yourself. And I think that driver behind you was some internal rhythm that you connected to that forced you to move on forward to understand this more and more, so that you were available for that download, that knowledge, that experience that you had for your art, for the cards, and for the people that you want to help. It's really interesting for me to know that the people that are looking at your art probably are just curious and have gone in there to get out of the rain, maybe at an art exhibition. And sometimes they are curious and they want to know more, but they will all have come away with a feeling of calm, with a feeling of connection to the artist. Even though they might have no clue who you are, they will have had an experience of who you are through the work that you've left at that exhibition. And you've exhibited all around the world as well, haven't you?
I did exhibit. I did a few online, and I've done let's say last year and this year shortlisted in different places. Yes, but it's not about exhibiting for me. It's give people the opportunity to see where art comes from, because it's not only because I'm spiritualist that my art is special or that. No, introducing my spiritual art into the normal world of the painting and all that, because there is an inspiration in every artist. We all inspired. You can't be possibly just looking at, you look at something and then you're inspired to put it on paper. So it's a different way. You're not copying, isn't it? We're not copying. Artists nowadays, they don't copy. So the inspiration, where does it come from? I want to challenge them. Spiritual comes from souls, comes from your soul, isn't it? The connection of your soul into the nature, whatever, thing you are interested in and you connect with. And that's fabulous. So why not? Why are we scared to call each other? Lots of artists in the past, the galleries used to advertise. I just recently found that the galleries used to advertise them as an artist, but in the old days, like 1800 and all that, lots of spiritual artists there were, but were never named as spiritual. It wasn't something you could say, isn't it, in those days? So yeah, why not picking it up, isn't it? Why not? But painting, okay, I do mixed media. That's what apparently it's called. My art is a mixed media medium. Okay, it's called a mixed media. I will call myself a spiritual artist and mixed media. I don't do painting. I do painting. I've done painting, but it's not what I do mainly. I do other things mainly. Yeah, I use pastels because pastels are better for me, for my hands, for my ability with my pain, and because I can juggle them better. Yeah. So
it's really interesting, and I would urge people to consider art if it's not something that's on your radar. If not going to a national gallery, just going to a local one to find out what people have done. And the stories of artists as well are not dissimilar to yours in that they are driven to do and create what they have created. It is such a passion in them. And even somebody, I can't remember his name, Alfred, somebody down in St Ives, became an artist when he was like 74 for various reasons. And he has beautiful childlike images of the harbour and the boats and the town itself. But now he's a world-renowned artist because it was something that he was driven to do. And he's taken that throughout his life as well. So it's something I think that we all need to acknowledge and recognise that is good for our mental health, whether we are doing art or experiencing art or just art adjacent. It's just, and that's why I think the Arts and Culture Network is so important that Mark Walmsley runs, but also understanding that if we get our funding cut in our local village or town where there's an art gallery and the council don't have enough funds to open it anymore, then that's a tragedy that is going to affect many, many people in a very detrimental way. So we all need to be aware that whether it be a music venue, an art venue, dancing, music, whatever it is, poetry, something that fills the soul with joy needs to be relished, accessed and protected for the sake of our mental health, but also for the sake of each other connecting, because that is how we connect with each other. If you both see a picture that you love, that's a deep connection. If you both listen to some music that has a particular memory, that's a deep connection. And that evokes smells and images, and it gives you shivers up your spine. It's a visceral emotion that you go through. And I think if we don't protect those and acknowledge that we need them and access them on a regular basis, then we're the only ones that are going to suffer in the long run. Carmela, thank you so much for this conversation. It's been fascinating. I wish you every success with that exhibition you've got going. Greenwich Library in London. It finishes on the 22nd, is that right?
Right, the 22nd of January is the private view, and the 24th it will be the last. We'll be finishing. Yeah, but it's been on since December, and that's my third year solo exhibition. So who knows, next year or the following year, yeah. But it will be most of it. We will create a catalogue afterwards, so people will be able to see it online after the exhibition, obviously.
And I know you're going to be very busy when these cards come out, and we look forward to having you as part of our community at Collaboration Global for the foreseeable future, if not for part of it, because there are so many people within the community that are along the similar lines to you, and you will be able to help each other in lots of different ways. So I welcome you and grateful that you are with us, and look forward to seeing what collaborations can come in the future. Of course, if you want to meet Carmela, she comes along to our guest meetings. So you can find those guest meetings if you go to collaborationglobal.org and book yourself in to the one at the last Tuesday of the month, every month apart from December, or you can come to our other guest meeting, which is the second Thursday of the month, which is a breakfast meeting in the UK. Or if somebody wanted to get in touch with you directly, Carmela, what's the best way that they could get hold of you?
Well, they can go on to my website, which is www.ruggierostudios.com, which is RUGGIERO studios with the S.com.
Awesome.
And or send me an email. They can send me an email, obviously. Okay. And I will be there answering any questions, and all social media with the same name, Ruggiero Studios.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And thank you again for being on the podcast. I look forward to our part 2 at some point in the not too distant.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.